UConn is the best job in college basketball. You're Locked On UConn.
You are Locked On UConn, your daily podcast on the UConn Huskies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On UConn your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And welcome to the only podcast on UConn that is undefeated since its inception. Have to throw that in there. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. On today's show, we welcome a very special co-host, UConn legend Little Red, and we'll talk to Connecticut's own Jeff D. Lowe, host of the Dozen Trivia on Barstool Sports. Little Red, Jeff, is UConn the best job in college basketball?
Got to let Jeff handle this one first.
Yes. I mean, the timing of us doing this is perfect because of all the stuff that just came out about Hurley not leave. Not that we didn't really think that anyway, but Norlander and Fanta doing his Fanta things and dunking on people. And Kentucky, which is, to me, like I know we're all clowning them right now, and very rightfully so, by the way. Just absolutely well-deserved clowning. Kentucky is a top 5 job in college sports. They're begging Dan Hurley to leave. And it's just not going to happen. Like the funny thing is like the way he's denying it in the press is enough where I kind of get what people are like, well, he's not really saying no, but like, yeah, the way he's denying it, it's like he's not even. He's like it's not a real thing to him. Like it's not even a thing to deny. Which I hope he uses as leverage. I hope he gets a bag. But yeah, this is the best job in college basketball easily right now.
What you got, Little Red?
100% agree. It's tough to see their fans kind of crumble on socials. I enjoy it, but they're a little distraught. They don't know what's coming. They thought they had Scott Drew, and Scott Drew issues out, a statement talking about church and faith and God and all these things. And he's not coming. And we're going down the list like Pitino early in the year. If like Pitino goes to Kentucky, like that's just terrible. I don't want to say like almost distasteful, but they're just going down the list of guys. Nate Oates is staying in Bama and all this and that, and that's tough. It's tough. They're going to go through it the next few years. That's a fact. One thing I just don't like is it dominating the headlines.
That's true.
I wish it was just like the focus on UConn, focus on the job like Hurley and his staff have done, and I just don't like that dominating the headlines. And I really don't care for Calipari and the timing of that. And says it was leaked. It doesn't really matter regardless. The timing of everything on top of like the portal just pulls everybody's attention away from UConn. But getting back to your question, yeah, definitely a real high destination job for college coaches.
Well, I'll give you a little nugget. I had Adam Zagora on earlier today. That dropped earlier, and he kind of broke the news semi about how Scott Drew from Baylor was thinking about going in talks. But the interesting part is how he did that was he did a juxtaposition where his family flew to Lexington. That was the private jet.
Right.
And Scott Drew was in Waco with a, with a booster. So I thought that was super interesting because it was kind of like, okay, honey, go check it out with the kids and then report back to me. So his family basically flat out said, no, we're not coming here. We're good. Where do you guys say, you think Kentucky's the number 2 job? Like what's the list right now? I there's obviously the traditional powers. You got Kansas, Kentucky, Carolina, Duke, UConn. Where would UConn's the best job right now? Is Kentucky 2, or where do you go next after that?
That's tough.
Brutal. That's a brutal question.
I don't know if Kentucky's 2 because Kentucky's top 5, which I guess at that point, what's there between 2 and 5? But my thing that reserves me with Kentucky is that I do think part of being the best job in the country, there needs to be some sort of assurance that you're not going to get ran out of town if you have like one bad year in the first 3 years. Right. I think that's a concern with Kentucky. That's like Cal's failed the last couple of years, like probably more miserably than we even give him credit. Like to bring in those types of recruits, at least the style as to how he's wanted to win is a failure. Like it's just a massive L. But even then, like that's enough success where I'll give you some context here. I went to Penn State. I'm a Penn State football fan. James Franklin, incredible recruiter. 10 wins every year. My buddy says it best every year. He says, James Franklin is the best coach of the country at making you the number 10 team in the country. And that's basically what Cal was at that point. Everybody would take him except Kentucky, right? Like, maybe not at this point, but like for the most part, you would take him. Like, if you didn't have a high-end job, high-end coach, like look what Arkansas just did. But so point being, Kentucky, I don't know if that makes them truly top 5. Of the other best jobs, man, that's tough. Like, what's the best job in the country? I think Carolina job's pretty high up there.
Yeah.
Like, just
Carolina and Kansas are such like a toss-up there.
You could say Kansas too, probably.
Yeah.
For me, it's I have Carolina 2, Duke 3, because there's just so much cachet that comes with those two programs. Kansas is still Kansas. I mean, have you guys heard that Charlie Villanueva story about his recruiting visit, about how he was going to go there because Bill Self went there and he decided against it because there was a tornado during his recruiting visit?
No, I never heard that.
So yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not saying that happens all the time, but it's still Kansas. There's not a lot there. I mean, I had a guest on say that, well, Kansas has Wilt Chamberlain, and all this other stuff. I was like, no one cares about Wilt Chamberlain today. No one cares about that history. They care that Michael Jordan went to Carolina and that he still comes and visits, and that Duke still has relevant, has won titles in the last 30 years like UConn has. So those would be my top 3. Kansas and Kentucky are coming in the back
for
end.
me. Sorry, the one thing with Duke for me is that you are filling still mildly Coach K's shoes.
Sure,
and that is tough. And that's a challenge for someone. Obviously, they have a guy there who played for him and a young guy, but that would be my thing. I'd probably put Carolina. You're right, Kansas probably up there, but I'd probably put Carolina 2. Because I feel like Carolina fans, and Hubert Davis obviously has done a pretty decent job there. He had a weird year last year, but brought an 8 seed to the Final Four, or national, like on the cusp of a title. This year, 1 seed. They obviously didn't. They ran into Bama, randomly decided to be good. So I think like they may have a little more leeway. That's something with the Kentucky job is I've seen it with their fans this week. It's crazy. I also, by the way, I didn't see the Matt Jones tweet that he sent out as I was logging in. So I just saw that where he said no, and they still don't believe it. The fans are still in shambles.
Yep.
And they just lost 2 guys in the portal. No, two guys are already out of there. Just a weird state of college basketball where Duke is always going to be there. Kentucky's always going to be there. UNC always going to be flirting with that, but it's just weird that the whole system, it doesn't work. You can bring in the freshmen, you can be competitive, you can coach them up. Kentucky had a rough start to the year, coached them up. Cal got them as far as they could, honestly. That system, you going against like Oakland, right? They lost to Oakland in the tournament. Just going against a bunch of 4-year, 5-year guys, grown men that just know how to play basketball. It doesn't mean that Oakland doesn't, the talent level, like all those Kentucky players. I think Jay Wright said that all those Kentucky players are going to be great pros, not taking anything away from them individually as talent. But these teams are just not going to be successful. If you want to go make the pros, Kentucky, Duke, whatever you want to do, win national championships, we'll have our share of pros at UConn. We're going to win national championships, and that's the most exposure you can get. Why would you not want to go to a team that's going to make a long tournament run, guaranteed to be at least Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four every year? And you're going to get the most exposure possible. Granted, go get your NIL, go get your bag. I get that. But I just want the most exposure. If I'm in a college athlete, I want the most exposure possible.
Yeah, to me, I feel like Calipari definitely failed. Jeff brought that up because he kind of moved those goalposts. You know what I mean? Like he was supposed to come in and win multiple titles, but he started to say things like, "Well, my real job is to." I'm here to make these guys generational money. We have so many people that are now professionals, and we've helped so many families. It's like I'm watching Rudy Gay on Run It Back with Chandler Parsons, and I'm pretty sure he's doing okay for himself when he went to UConn. So there are so many players that went to UConn that have gotten generational money that even if they're not still playing professional basketball, are doing just fine for themselves. So to me, that Cal is the epitome of, hey, he wanted to do something. He realized he failed at it, and he tried to kind of restructure it. He's a great salesperson that way. And that's why they ran him out of town.
Is he able to shift his system to have any idea how to win college basketball games? Is his system like completely outdated? Just going after those 5 stars and that's what Bus did at Arkansas. They had like top 5 recruiting classes back-to-back years.
I think UConn has the blueprint for and it's not an easy blueprint, and for them to try to replicate it next year is going to be very hard too.
Yeah.
Is this year they had a couple stud guys who have been around for a while, or a couple years. Caravan, good example there. Tristan Newton, good example there. You bring in a transfer, Cam Spencer. You have maybe not a massive recruiting class like Duke bringing 100 players and Kentucky bringing in so many guys, 5 stars. You have one stud 5-star. You get lucky with Klingon. There's no doubt about that. That someone that caliber stayed around 2 years. But like Duke can do that. Duke can bring in a couple guys. You bring in 1 or 2 guys who can buy in, as with trying to make 5 or 6 freshmen mesh, and you kind of meld that together. That transfer portal part is key, which obviously Hurley jokes so much he hates it, but that is like Cal's going to have to do that. He can't keep doing this 5 freshman recruit thing, or, maybe he gets 1 or 2 guys back, but he can't keep doing that. He's going to have, a couple vets, maybe 1 or 2 transfer portal guys, and then, 1 or 2 main, or even like 1, there's, Solo Ball and Stewart, like they're good freshmen, but Castle was the centerpiece there.
Right.
And they're going to have that 1 or 2 guy buy in. That's not easy to do. But at those programs, if you're like a good coach, like a Dan Hurley, and other programs will have those good coaches, that's kind of going to have to be what it is going forward.
And really getting the guy that's you get your team and your system and everything about your university is a reflection of your head coach. We go get Cam Spencer. That's Hurley. That fits Hurley's system. He finds his guys. Who's Coach Cal going to get that go fits like the car salesman route? Like, I don't understand what happens there. The guy's like,
maybe he can't do it. You're right.
Everybody knows somebody that reminds them of Coach Cal, and it's not a good impression.
No,
it's just like he met with the team. There is no team. What's he like? Oh, I almost swore. I know I can't swear.
You're good. You're good. We almost got it.
All right, he's like fucking Coach Prime. There, I said it. Felt good to say it. That's like a Coach Prime thing. I'm bringing my luggage, and it's Louis V. Get lost, man.
No, I'm with you guys there. Well, now I'm freaking out because my wife and I are in the market for a new car, and I have to go talk to Calipari here shortly. So, but we're gonna get to my new car and the boys here's Final Four experience right after this. Have you ever had a frustrating time trying to snag tickets for an MLB game? I remember one time I was scrambling to find good seats last minute, but it was a nightmare. That's why I'm thrilled to tell you about Game Time, the official ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball. With Game Time, getting tickets is a breeze. Prices drop when it gets closer to game time, and they've got killer last-minute deals. Plus, you can check out views from your seat before you buy. Personally, I love the browsing app. Check out upcoming games, scoring awesome deals, and the best part, their lowest price guarantee ensures you're getting the best deal out there. I'm all about those last-minute deals and flash deals with Game Time. You can save up to 60% off on sports, concerts, and get all of this. They're all in pricing means no surprise fees at checkout. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Download the Game Time app now. There's a little bonus. Use Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Terms and conditions may apply. Download the Game Time app today. All right, guys. I saw a lot of, wouldn't say incriminating, but his funny videos are in pictures of you guys at the Final Four. I unfortunately was not able to join you. Maybe next year when we're going for a 3-peat, we can book that already. First off, I have to talk about the one picture, and I'm not bringing it up. So if you have this somewhere on social media, there's Little Red is in a picture that UConn actually posted on their official social media account on X. In the background is Jeff Lowe's poor mother looking terrified at like she's being held hostage, but not really. And that was my first intro. I literally saw Jeff on here. I messaged him on X and was like, dude, you got to come on the show and talk about your experience at the Final Four. But then I was like, I got to get Little Red on because he's been on my show, and let's just have like a little conversation. But tell me about that experience. Did your mom say anything about this lunatic, and did she notice how crazy he was?
So we all talked for a little while, like we met,
okay.
like obviously we knew each other through Twitter, and he came down to where we were sitting. I thought he was gonna be able to sit there the whole game.
So close.
Those NCAA employees who were sitting in those seats, get lost. Go sit in the press room or something. Get out of there. And it's funny because he actually said to my mom and I, which makes the picture even funnier. He kept posing for photos because people kept coming over and pointing, like, "Hey, pose." Yeah. They take a picture, and he looked at me. He goes, "Dude, I never see these photos." Like, I don't know where to find them. No one ever
Seriously.
posts them. And so my mom heard that, and we joked about it. And then later on, was it a dinner? I don't know if it was a dinner. I don't know. Whenever they posted it, I either text her, I told my mom, I go, well, remember that guy you met, the Yukon fan you met, and he couldn't find those photos? Well, they found him. And I said, you're in it. And there she is in the background.
That is awesome. You said to me that you took your mom there. Like, what was that like for her? You guys are obviously from Connecticut. Assuming you guys have been fans for years.
Yeah, that was amazing. We've been to Yukon games together. We're actually, funny enough, we went to Yukon Purdue in that stadium 10 years ago. I was visiting Arizona State, and they were there in the Sweet 16 late. Saw them beat Purdue, Robbie Hummel, Juwan Johnson, that team. Painter was coach, a lot less gray hair. And then they beat Missouri. The next game, the Damari Carroll team. So we actually saw them in that stadium, funny enough, but you've never been to Final Four. We've been to some random iconic Yukon games. The most iconic game her and I have been to together was Texas in 2011, because my family lives in Austin now. And we got to go, so we sat right behind the bench, or across the bench, behind the bench. Regardless, that crazy Kemba OT game. He had that ridiculous shot he threw up from like half court, and he had the step back winner. But she never been to Final Four, and she doesn't. My late father was a Cleveland sports fan, growing up in Connecticut, or he's from Ohio, but I grew up in Connecticut. She couldn't care less about Cleveland sports teams, and he made sure I was a UConn fan. He's like, because I couldn't watch any teams. None of them are on local TV. It's all Red Sox, Giants, Jets, all that. And so it's the only team she cares about ever. Yeah. And so I was like, shit, this is the perfect opening. I'm living in California. I had to go for, I was going to go maybe for work and all that. So did that. And we had quite time. We were on TV behind Jay Wright the whole time. That's pretty great. So yeah, she's a nervous wreck though. So she was, and she doesn't know much about these other teams, and Alabama launched their like 15-3 the first half, and she's like, "Oh my god!" I said, "Mom, you got to get used to it." I go, "They're not going to stop. They're going to be launching from deep." So yeah, it was a pretty cool moment. It was, and of course, them winning makes it even 100 times better. So
that's awesome.
That's super cool. Little Red, give me the atmosphere compared to Jeff. Just talked about them playing in that football stadium in the past, 10 years prior. What's that like? I mean, it's cavernous. I've never been to a game at a place that size. So fill anyone in that kind of hasn't had that experience before.
I mean, if you're like walking in and, you're just like, you're already nervous for the game. I think walking down in like that football arena with small court, fans, stands are a little extended, extra seats are in there. It's like out of body experience, I feel like, for a little bit. You just like go to another level. Like my voice is still recovering. I'm yelling and I'm just like trying to contribute and get everybody around me going. And I felt like the atmosphere was a little bit better last year. But how lucky are we to compare? Which one was better, the back-to-back? It really, in the scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. But I like the atmosphere. I mean, everything about it is just like super energetic. It just fuels my fire. Like I need more and more things to like really get me hyped up. And the comments online are just brutal to read. Some of those, like, this guy's doing this, he's doing that. Like, I'll have like 1 drink, 2 drinks a game, and like I'm completely sober. Like I'm just built different, I'm just playing into my own. I'm playing into my own ego, man. I'm a passionate fan, and to be featured on their socials, like that's pretty cool and all. But
it was cool.
End of the day, it's like I love seeing these guys cut down nets. I love going to these games, and the one game that I didn't really want to go to was DePaul this year. I know Jeff brought some of the Stool guys with him, and that just looks like a really nice arena. But like, why go if we're going to win by 40? It's almost a lock, And for me at least. I mean, you're not a Chicago office; it's a different story. But
no, for sure.
I was glad we went to that. We sat courtside for that. That was
you can sit courtside.
Steph Castle had that courtside, by the way, for like $100.
Yeah.
The number one team
That's wild.
On game time.
One of my coworkers, Spider, who's from. I'm from so I was born in Plainville, or born in New Britain, lived in Plainville, lived in Farmington, Unionville, all that. But my coworker Spider, if you know Barstool, you probably know Spider. He does a lot of stuff for Dave. Now he does like NASCAR stuff. He's from Bristol. And so we went, he was with us, and Andrew Hurley at the end of the game checks in and he runs over and he just points Spider. He goes, "Spider, this one's for you." He never got the 3 up though. We wanted it, but he never got it up. That was a fun experience. What a sad state of affairs that team is. That's a whole different story though. Oh my God, DePaul.
We'll do a companion pod one day with who's the guy, Blue Demon, that kind of had the Divine Providence show. We'll have to try to get him on once they get it going with Holtzman. No, so I don't know if did you guys see at the end of the game when you mentioned Andrew Hurley? Did you see the zoomed in video of Dan Hurley
Bounce that ball.
telling bounce that ball? I can't swear on the pods or something, like it's bounce it as effing hard as you can or whatever. And like, because I guess Matt Painter was telling him, don't worry about it, just have them shoot. So I thought that was pretty cool. I know there's been some stupid stuff written by some people in the media about like Dan's antics, and I talked to Adam about that today too, about how he's been covering the Hurleys for 30 years, and he was just like he's just not everyone's cup of tea. But I thought it's so overblown, it's so silly. It's like, listen, man,
you just get that. Sorry, go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just saying, like, you just get like a true, authentic person who is a lunatic. Dan Hurley is a lunatic, and that's why we love him. Like, he is a certified. I've asked plenty of folks in college basketball world who are also coaches or assistants in recruiting, and I said, "What's your impression of Dan Hurley?" To a man, they're like, "He's certified straitjacket," but they're like, "But he's great." Like, there's nothing wrong with him. I had such an issue with that. Do you guys have an issue when that happens, in particular when they attack him for kind of just being who he is?
Go at him all you want, because you got a team on social that they revealed, and they're reading tweets and keeping receipts. I mean, wow, that's a good little slogan.
Did you
reading
slogan
tweets
that up?
and keeping receipts? I like that. No, I mean, and I get it a lot. Like, Providence was giving it to us, guys at Marquette were giving it to me directly. Like, you're classless, your coaches just show up. I'm like, I'm not affiliated with the program. If you were in my situation and we were kicking, your rear. I already swore once. I don't want to swear again. And we're just absolutely annihilating you. You'd be doing the same thing I'd be. And I'm not going up to you like getting in your face, like, bye, get out of here. Maybe I did that once because the Marquette guy was giving me a hard time in the last 5 minutes of the game.
It's okay.
Before we get to the game, it's all respect. But if you were in my shoes and we were just like rolling everybody, I love the hate. Like, that just fuels me. Like, I go nuts for that. I really don't understand something like you're classless, your coach is classless. I don't care, and it doesn't matter what you think anyway. It really doesn't matter what you think.
Jeff, what do you feel on that? Do you think that it's like this pearl clutching is silly, or like what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's like loser stuff, and I mean you see that though from like the legacy media, and obviously you saw it with Caitlin Clark too. I know we just had the Huskies lost to Caitlin Clark, but like the next day I was right on there defending her, and there was some of it's like Taurasi stuff got taken out of context, but even like a couple of the comment, like you know what, just like I don't like sounding like hating on the new thing or hating on the thing that's maybe a little fiery in this day and age, and that goes with Hurley too. Like the Greg Doyle pieces about Matt Painter. Congrats to Purdue on their banner they're going to hang for being the classiest team in the country. That's unlegible. I actually like Painter, by the way. I like Painter.
I like Painter too. Yeah, me too. I think he's a good dude. He seems like a really cool individual. But Hurley is just I mean, it's ridiculous.
Hurley cares about UConn, and that's all I care about. Like, people comparing him to Dabo or like Kim Mulkey. Kim Mulkey is actually probably the better example, because I do think Dabo cares about Clemson. Though Dabo's so self-centered, it's like nauseating. Kim Mulkey annoys the shit out of me. Kim Mulkey is all about Kim Mulkey. Like, she upstaged the Sweet 16 about some article, which wasn't even bad, by the way. Hurley is going to get he's going to be like his fiery self, but he's about his guys. At the end of the DePaul game, great example. Came over, took a picture with every single person that was a UConn fan, talked to everybody. Like, he cares about and that's all that matters. That's what matters. He cares about his guys, and he even does care about other players. Like, how many times do you see Hurley go up and talk to somebody on the other team, and they like talk to him? End of the first Big East tournament this year, I do believe I'm right on this. I think Providence played next. Is that right? Like, after, and I think he went, like, you saw him at the end of the game. He went up to Devin Carter, talked to him for like there's a respect there from him. You don't hear this from these other people. No. In the moment, should he be pushing Cam Spencer in the court? I'd probably lean to say no. That's insane. But like, you don't hear it from these other, like, you don't hear from other people. Like, you don't hear like him and Shaka embrace each other. Like, you don't hear that. It's from these like old losers, and it is like, I've covered basketball for the things I saw on the court you didn't see on TV. What did he do? Shoot somebody on the side of the court? Like, what are you talking about?
It's also so different because we grew up watching these coaches that were in programs for 20, 30 years. The Thompsons, Dean Smith, Roy Williams. Self has been in Kansas for a long time. We grew up only knowing these old school coaches, these old school ways. And Bobby Knight was just like over there, just different. These new young waves of coaches, like everybody gets pissed off Shaka Smart running up and down. Hurley does his thing his own way. He's wearing a suit and a tie. I like that he keeps that about him, at least. But it just rubs the old heads the wrong way. Those Blue
Maybe
Bears
we're
have
used
no
to it because
idea
of
how to
Calhoun,
handle
right?
it.
Like Calhoun was so fiery too, and like things.
Yeah,
Maybe we're just used to it.
Yeah, I think we're used to it. I mean, that Calhoun. If you listen to anything Calhoun's ever said, I mean, Bobby Knight is who influenced him to take this job. You know what I mean? So it's obviously we have some of that. You know, at one point he was called, the East Coast Bobby Knight, for years. So I get it, man. I love it, and I won't apologize for loving Danny Hurley. But we're gonna move on. Results, and I want to move on because I have a really cool third segment for you guys. We're gonna do some UConn trivia and Huskies in cinema right after this.
Oh boy.
All right. So, as we know, Jeff is a host of a trivia show on Barstool. Talk to me about that really quick before I do this trivia with you two. Tell us where people can find it, promote it a little bit, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, dozen trivia on all Barstool platforms. So barstoolsports.com, YouTube, Rumble, all that stuff. Check it out. It's been around their fourth season. Teams of three at Barstool, they play each other in trivia. It's all online, and then at the end of the season, it's in person. Sell out big theaters. I think like 2,000 seats in those theaters this summer for our finals in Chicago. It's crazy. Everyone from Dave Portnoy down to Big Cat's got a team, and I don't know why they care about it, but they sure do. There's nothing at stake. There's nothing but pride. Dave just won $2 million on UConn. I'll tell you what, the death stare he's going to give me if he doesn't like one of the questions I give him in the tournament, it's going to be even more intense than that. So yeah, check out the dozen if you can. And then we have a daily trivia game every day, dailydozentrivia.com. So
yep.
Yeah, check it out. It's a good thing. You'll see. I write questions. You'll see a lot of UConn questions in there.
Absolutely. Honestly, I think I know why people lose their minds over this stuff, because every bar in America has a trivia night, and so and when you go, and what are the prizes? Like my wife runs a brewery here in North Carolina, and so every Tuesday night when she goes to work and there's like a trivia night, I think the top prize is their bar tab. I mean, it's not like it's a lot of money. It's just the camaraderie. It's the more than someone else. So it's cool. So this is for nothing too. And I don't have anything fancy. I'm just going to ask you guys questions. So UConn has won 48 consecutive games when leading at halftime. When was the last loss, home or away? And bonus points what was the margin of the loss?
Oh my
so
God.
Who'd they lose to? Was it home or away, and by how much? 48 games leading at halftime.
That is really tough.
I had to come out guns blazing.
You know what my problem is? Everything just meshes into 1 year.
Well, I had to look this up.
I'm looking back to last season, and I'm trying to think.
I don't think it would have been last year.
St. John's on Christmas last year, Christmas Eve?
Remember, they've lost this year, but the key part of the question is when they were leading at halftime. Oh, so they were winning at the half of this game and lost.
Ooh, all right. I was thinking that XL Center lost to St. John's last year around Christmas.
Could we maybe narrow it down to see? Can I ask you season first?
Yeah, it was last season.
It was last season.
There's no way it was this season. Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, no, I knew it was, but I thought maybe that extended back. I was assuming everything negative now goes to the Teddy Allen year for me.
Yeah.
Xavier away New Year's Eve last year.
Nope, that's not it. What you got?
That was a frustrating loss. I figured.
There's no way they led in Providence. They got beat by 1,000. It felt like in Providence.
There's a connect. I'll give you. And Jeff, in Little Red, if you want to have another answer, because I didn't give this clue last time. I'll give you guys one more hint. There's a connective tissue to this loss to a team that they potentially lost to this year. I think I gave it away, but that's okay.
Is it Seton Hall? Is it Seton Hall like almost like February, or is it January?
Seton Hall, January 18th. They lost.
I knew that was a close game.
Do you guys know the margin of loss, which is the craziest part?
I don't remember stuff like that.
Did they have a chance to win it at the buzzer? Was it like a 2-point loss?
They lost by 1.
Wow. Okay. I do remember.
Think about how crazy that is.
Stuff. That happened last year. I can't remember.
That was right after, because correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't they like looked decent against Butler, right? Like the next game, and then I think they lost again after that, and that's when I was like, uh-oh.
Well, I got another nugget for this one. This is why this question was so fascinating to me. They lost 67-66 on the road to Seton Hall last year without Hurley and associate coach Kamani Young, who each missed the game with COVID. And they were up 46 at halftime. They were up 40-26 at the half, which is the craziest part. That's a good one, huh?
That's a good one.
That's right around the time, apparently, when he was in the Barstool office after winning the title last year, he told one of my coworkers, Jack Back, big Yukon fan. He told, I think Hurley told Jack, like, that was around the time in practice where it was like, he said it was bad. It was not, things were not going well. They were not looking good. And then obviously it was kind of after that where everything was just butter for the most part.
Really turned it up at the right time last year. That was just incredible.
All right, I got a couple more before we close out the show. All right, we're gonna Huskies in cinema, which there aren't a lot. So you guys know this is Ray Allen.
I was just gonna blurt it out anyway.
Here.
I'm gonna blurt it out anyway.
But we're gonna talk about that specifically. In the game, in the movie He Got Game, who was one of Ray Allen's close friends in the movie? Was it Rick Fox, Rosario Dawson, Denzel Washington, or Travis Best?
It was
Travis Best was in the movie.
They all are in the movie.
They all were in the movie.
No. I'm trying to think. Like I was thinking
Rosario Dawson's character,
cousin
right?
with the lisp.
Travis Best. I would in this question, the answer is Travis Best because he was on his high school team. Rick Fox was the recruit, the guy who brought him in on a recruiting visit. Rosario Dawson was his girlfriend, and Denzel Washington was his mother.
Out of the names provided, who was his best friend? Because his
Travis
best friend
Best.
in the movie was basically like his cousin with the lisp.
Correct. Also on the team, but didn't play because he was too short.
Yeah.
All right, that one wasn't.
I might have to rip He Got Game in the flight tomorrow. There you go.
Travis Best from Springfield, Mass.
This is another great one about that movie because there were a lot of NBA players in it. How many NBA players showed up in that game? Just throw out a number. Think about the guys you saw on screen.
In the movie. Total NBA players on screen?
Yeah, total NBA players. Yep, on screen.
No, there's going to be some guys in like Rick Fox, Walter McCarty, Travis Best, Ray Allen.
Jeff is doing some math. I can see it.
I can't even picture it, man.
I don't have a good number on that.
Game? When's the last time? I mean, it's not like it was like a fantastic movie.
Yeah, all NBA players. Yep, they all played in the NBA, and I'll list them for you. What's your final number?
I'm going to say 8, 9.
Shot in the dark. I was going to say 8. I don't want to be a repeat. I'll say 7.
It's 10. Ray Allen, Rick Fox, Travis Best, Shaquille O'Neal, Reggie Miller, Charles Barkley, Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, Walter McCarty, John Wallace.
Well, they cut the John Wallace in the park. He's at that game. Yeah,
we need more Yukon people in movies.
Well, they also they interview Shaq and they interview. It's like just a quick segue. It's not like they're playing basketball.
I gotta. This is a random one. This is just the last trivia before we sign off here, but has nothing to do with the amount of attempts. So this wouldn't be official, but who had the highest 3-point percentage regardless of attempts for UConn this year?
This year?
Oh, this year.
Mm-hmm. Don't look it up.
I think I know who it is. And I think
what you got, Jeff? It's not Klingon. It's a great. First off, if you know it, say his name because it's a tough one.
It is a very tough name, but I don't.
Apostolos.
Yes, it is. It's Apostolos. Yeah,
because I did think
Apostolos, Roma, whatever. Basil on Twitter is listening to me. He's going to kill me.
Yeah, how do you say his last name? Because I almost didn't want to say it.
Yeah, Romelu. That's how I say it. Though I kind of slur it really quickly. So I said this the other day to somebody because he hit a 3 against Stetson, right?
Yep.
He
got taken out.
Yeah, and I said to someone, I think again, my buddy here at work, I texted Jack. I'm like, has he missed yet this year? So that would have been my answer, but I did think for a second. I was like, how many did Klingon take? But then, like, how many did he would? But I don't think Romelu missed a shot, right?
He was 56% for the year.
Oh, really? Okay. So I'm just thinking. I just feel like when you key in on the times he's made it, you're like, oh my god.
What was he?
For
What
sure.
was this? What was he officially like 5 for 5?
I didn't even look it up because he was it was 50, like a shade under 56%. It was like 55.9%. So I'd imagine he was like 6 for 11 or something like that from three.
Yeah, you think about like when he got in and visualize his shots.
Right.
At the beginning of the year, games all kind of.
That's right. You do forget about those. I think like if you just talk about garbage time, like once you got into the meat of the schedule, I feel like he didn't miss. Like
Wasn't Andre Johnson 1 for 1 though?
Yeah, Andre
he hit
1 for 2,
50%, 50% for the year.
2. Oh, all right.
But he was one of the 3 threes against Northwestern, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
crazy.
First bucket of the year, man. I was so happy for him.
And they made like 10 total threes in the whole tournament, and the 2 of them were those guys.
That's too funny.
Purdue 1 for 7
wild.
in the final. Wild.
By the way, that's. But I know you said we're gonna wrap. I had one Purdue
Talk
fan.
about it.
Purdue fans were great. One Purdue fan did come up to me and like talk to me in the airport. We was kind of talking. I didn't really want to be mean, but he was kind of giving like it was a cope talk. It was like definitely him trying to lessen the blow of the loss. He goes, I don't know. We run that back. I think game plan we'd be getting up more threes there, and that's what that kind of broke me. I said, man, I don't know. I said, I got to be honest with you. I said, I'm not sure it's the greatest team of all time. I said, I think that might be the best defense in the history of college basketball. I said, you guys wouldn't get up another 7 shots if you played. I go, you might get up 5 shots if you played again. I said, it wasn't because you didn't want to take them, you couldn't take them. You
100%.
physically could not shoot threes.
Absolute lockdown performance.
Yeah.
It's like your desire to take them was not the problem.
Yeah. That reminds me of a Bill. That reminds me of a Bill Burr bit where he used to say, like when someone would dunk over a guy, he's like, it's not like the guy that's unathletic is thinking, why didn't I think about trying to do that? It's that he couldn't actually do that. It's like, so no, but you're so spot on. And I will. The only time I toot my own horn is when I actually am right about something. And the day of the game, I said the exact same thing. Almost to a T. I said Purdue is going to score about 62 points because they're going to allow Zach Edey to get 30 and 10, and that's it. They're just not going to let them do anything else.
Field of 68, Hunter Dickinson and Baycott had that interview before the game. And, Baycott was really saying like, oh, what's his face? Zach Edey might have 40. And Hunter Dickinson gave the recipe. If you look back at it, he was pretty right.
Yeah.
I despise Hunter Dickinson, but he gave the recipe how you beat him 1-on-1.
Absolutely.
And that's about it. You let Edey do his thing and you shut down the guard play. If they get hot, it's a long night. And
all he needed to do was
I didn't even get warm.
Right. I needed to see Edey miss like 4 or 5 shots in the first half. That's all I needed. And that's kind of what happened.
Nope.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For sure. Well, listen,
they win that game 100 out of 100 times, and I stand with that because I'll tell you what, the next time they ain't getting into foul trouble like that either.
100%.
Someone told me, this is like if this is a 7-game series, we win 4, and I was like, you really thinking that Purdue is going to beat UConn 3 times?
They're from the Midwest.
That's a 4-0 sweep. That's what that's called.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. We wouldn't win the first 4. Well, listen, guys, I appreciate you both. Jeff, I joked with you. You got to have Dave come on the show to show some respect to the UConn team that won.
He didn't make the cut at our mini golf tournament. He got out of here on the private jet.
Let's just get Miss Peaches on, man. Forget everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. Even better.
Bro, I met the dog yesterday. I made a nice post about bringing my mom to the Final Four, and I got a lot of nice likes. And I don't have like a big Instagram. I have nice likes and comments and messages. I posted a photo of me and that dog yesterday. Dude, you would have thought I met Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
The messages I got yesterday was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Miss Peach is a star. My wife, that's all she follows with Barstool is that stupid dog, man. There it is.
People love
right
the dog.
there.
She's great. I
Brings
met
a
the
whole
dog.
different audience.
Dog rules.
Whole different audience.
Dave's a ride or die. Dave, not a UConn fan, but he's a Michigan guy. But he is Dave. He had said it last year after when they won. He goes, that is the best program in college basketball, and he rode with him again. So.
Well, listen. Well, I appreciate you, Dave Portnoy, and all that you do at Barstool. Jeff, thank you so much for coming on. Little Red, as always, UConn. You're my UConn legendary fan, and you have an open door policy to come on the show. I do have to let you guys know this is not specifically for you, but more for the fan base. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, now also available on Amazon Fire TV. Find Locked On Sports today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. For your host here, I'm Mark Snetto with Jeff Lowe, Little Red, asking you to stay connected, stay locked in, make sure your toughness meter always stays up and rising. This is another episode of Locked On UConn. As always, go Huskies.
Let's go!